Paul, thank you for joining us for an episode of Q Times. On to the main event, the questions. What is the strangest theme park moment you've experienced anywhere in the world?
Well, this is where I think we loop back to Tripsdrill, a park which is full of strange and weird and wonderful moments. But I think the one that stands out for me there is a sort of well that you pull ropes and weird things like babies and clocks come out and kind of talk to you in they sort of sing to you, actually. They don't talk to you, they sort of just sing to you. It's very bizarre, very bizarre. Tripsdrill is full of very bizarre things. You will see random nudity there. You will see a fortune teller that just waffles on for ages about something. I'm not sure what. It's a very unique park, but it's set in absolutely beautiful surroundings as well. Like, it's up in the vineyards in Germany and everything. It's like a really unique place, but it's definitely a bit strange in places too. So yeah, look forward to that one.
Amazing. Where do you think the biggest gap is right now between marketing hype and actual on-ride experience?
I would say the region that probably jumps to mind is Dubai. I think a lot of money's been spent there, especially around Dubai parks and resorts. There's some fantastic theming there, but they're not really getting numbers. I think there are a number of factors in that. And part of it is the on-ride experience on a lot of the attractions is kind of not really there. Like I say, you've got some incredibly themed attractions like Hotel Transylvania and Ghostbusters, which have like incredible facades, amazing queue lines, and then ride experiences that just completely fall flat. And also they've got terrible transport links, which is odd for somewhere like Dubai, which is kind of so well served. And this is so far on the outside that you kind of need to get a taxi there or drive yourself. And I think that's a weird one. So yeah, for something that opened with so much hype, obviously they just rebranded the Bollywood Park to Real Madrid World. You've got these huge properties that they've licensed. They've clearly spent tons of money on it, and yet it's not landing at all. And so part of that comes down to, I think, some of the ride hardware they've used, but also how it's kind of being advertised and pushed and the links around it as well. So yeah, I think that's where there's definitely some hype there with how they've kind of pushed and marketed it. But for me, while I enjoy the parks, they're kind of, none of them feel like full day parks to me, and they're quite a high price point as well. So I think that's something that has to be factored in. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I would go with that one.
Oh, very interesting. Do you think that the UK is genuinely underperforming globally, or are we comparing ourselves to the absolute elite too often?
Perhaps we are, but I think there's an argument to be made that parks like Alton Towers should be getting compared to the elite. That should be the UK's Europa Park or the UK's Efteling. And it does fall quite short of the mark of those right now, especially when you look at things like opening hours, some of the kind of the ride downtime they experience and things like that. I don't think the food offerings are as good as a lot of the other kind of European equivalents as well. But even if you look kind of drop down the tier list a little bit and you look at parks like, say, Parquet Warner, we've mentioned Tripsdrill. I think all of those, even some of the regional parks, do a lot of things better than the very best UK parks do. And that's a bit of a concern for me. But on the flip side, you also get the likes of Portman's Park, who are kind of constantly excelling in everything they do as well. So it's not just a down on UK parks. I just think Merlin are in a bit of a spot at the moment. I think maybe financially they're not as strong as they would like to be. And that's reflected in a lot of their park offerings. But I mean, I always love Thorpe Park. So like I say, I think we've got some good parks here. I think they could be better. And when you visit other parks, especially across kind of mainland Europe, where the standards are so high, it kind of raises your expectations a little bit. So when they're not quite met, it can be a little bit disappointing. But don't get me wrong, I only went to Alton Towers once last year at Square Fest. I had a great time. Thorpe Park is always fantastic. Chessington's obviously having huge amounts of investment right now. So hopefully they're on their way there. But I think ultimately, if you pay a lot of money to get into a park and you only end up riding a handful of rides, or your day's cut short of 4 p.m. because of rubbish opening hours, it's going to leave a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. And that's something that I do think they need to work on a little bit.
Definitely.
And hopefully when Universal comes along, it's going to raise the game for everybody.
Couldn't agree with you more. What is one ride anywhere in the world that absolutely deserves its reputation, and then one perhaps that survives purely or mostly on nostalgia?
Deserves its reputation, I think, Velocicoaster at Universal Orlando. I think, to me, that's the complete roller coaster experience from the queue line. Even if you're on a massive extended queue outside, you just get some incredible views that you can't get anywhere else of the roller coaster anyway. But then the queue line experience itself is incredible with all the theming, all the kind of Easter eggs to Jurassic Park films. If you're into those, I mean, I love dinosaurs, so that's cool for me. The crazy the chase sequence in the queue line. I don't know if you've seen that at all online or if you've experienced it yourself.
I haven't experienced it myself.
But and then the ride experience is, I think, it's Intamin playing the hits, but everything lands, and that it's my number one roller coaster for a reason. But it does everything right. And I think almost all of my other favourite roller coasters, I could find a flaw in somewhere, and I just can't with Velocicoaster at all. But to me, it's the perfect roller coaster. I think in terms of kind of other rides, I mean, Universal lands so many. I think Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey as well, as an all-round experience, is close to perfect as you can get as well. And I think there's subsequent Harry Potter attractions. I've not done the Ministry of Magic one yet, but the subsequent ones I think have still been exceptional, but haven't been quite at the standard that Forbidden Journey is. That still stands out to me. It's just a truly exceptional dark ride experience, along with Rise of the Resistance as well at Disney. That's another one that from the moment you enter the queue line, you're just immersed in a whole storyline and experience. So yeah, like I say, hopefully when we get Universal here, we start to see that kind of level in this country, and maybe that will raise the game for other parks as well.
Definitely.
Unlike Ghost Train.
One park that completely surprised you, whether that's far better or far worse.
I was really pleasantly surprised by Djurs Summerland in Denmark. I've been to Farret the day before, which is also a really lovely park. But Djurs felt like so much more a complete theme park than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting a regional park with a few good rides, but it was, I fell in love with the place. It was so nicely themed. Everything I rode absolutely landed. It was a really good, well-rounded selection of attractions. They can maybe use a dark ride, but other than that, really nicely themed, really pleasantly landscaped. And I left there just kind of wanting to go back. And I think any theme park where you kind of want to immediately go back to is that's always a huge positive, especially because, you know, they can be quite tiring. You know, it's a long old day sometimes, stomping around, your adrenaline spiking, all that sort of thing. So I think when you get a park where you just literally cannot wait to return, yeah, Djurs was awesome. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Animal Kingdom in Florida, because it's a beautiful park. It's absolutely stunning, but it's got about 3 rides. So it's a lot of walking, a lot of queuing, and then you sort of ride Expedition Everest and the Avatar stuff, and you're sort of done. So I know they're expanding. They're opening, I think it's Indiana Jones and a few other bits are coming as well. Encanto, maybe. I lose track of what's going on at which Disney park right now because they've got so many projects going on. Yeah, it's such a beautiful park, but it's just underserved a little by its ride offering.
With so many cloned layouts and manufacturer catalogue builds appearing worldwide, do you think that we're entering a safer but less creative era of coaster design?
No, not necessarily. In fact, I would maybe contest that opinion slightly, because if you go back through the years, I mean, the Boomerang and the SLC were cloned layouts that were kind of appeared at so many parks like 20, 30 years ago. Same with the B&M Invert, the Batman clones kind of popped up everywhere at loads of parks. So I don't think it's necessarily a new thing. I think it depends on the coaster and what it provides to the park. When you look at something like the Premier Sky Rush 2, for example, they popped up in quite a few parks, but they're so compact that I think they benefit certain types of parks. Yeah, I'd rather it not be an SLC.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's a good ride system and it saves the park a little bit of money in terms of not having to pay extra for kind of all the custom design and that sort of thing, and it allows them to put a decent ride in place, which they might not have otherwise been able to, then I don't really have an issue with it.
What would you put into Thorpe Park?
You see, up until Blackpool announced the Victus, I would have said I would have loved an Intamin gyro there. Maybe in the spot where Slammer was, to refresh their flat ride line a little. They're starting to get a little bit tired. I mean, Rush can be salvaged, I think, because there's still plenty of Sky Swings out there. I'm sure there are parts and stuff to bring that back to its full glory. So we get more than one big swing and it doesn't take 5 minutes for it to cool down at the end. But I mean, Zodiac hasn't reached its apex for about 5 years, I don't think. Vortex, I suppose it serves a purpose still, but it's starting to feel a little bit old. Quantum, that's it. I was going to say Neptune for some reason, which is completely wrong. Quantum, yeah, that seems to be closed almost every time I go. So I think that old selection of flat rides does need refreshing. A gyro would be my go-to. I think that would be something that would really benefit them. But Merlin do like that unique aspect. And I think now that Blackpool have installed one, they'll probably shy away from it for a bit. In terms of coasters at Thorpe Park, I mean, they're lacking a Woody. I think a Woody in there would be good at some point. We all want to see an RMC. And I'd obviously love an Intamin multi-launch here in the UK, but I think Universal are going to give us one of those, so we hopefully won't have to wait too long.
Which country right now feels like it has the most momentum in terms of theme park development?
So that's a tricky question, that is. In terms of development, it's hard to argue against Saudi Arabia right now, rightly or wrongly. They're obviously piled billions into Six Flags Qiddiya, and have produced, the craziest roller coaster in the world, tallest tilt coaster, tallest inversion in the world. So in terms of momentum from a kind of development standpoint, you just get these mad years. 2024, I think, was UK's year with Hyperion and Nemesis Reborn. Of course, then you've got to look at the countries that are actually developing rides, in which case you look at, I suppose, Switzerland and Netherlands and America to a degree with RMC. There seems to be a lot of very interesting kind of concepts and developments happening. It's a case of whether parks actually kind of commission them or not. I mean, we've got so many amazing roller coaster types out there right now. So many manufacturers that are just delivering amazing ride experiences that are smooth, comfortable, thrilling. It's an exciting time. It's just whether or not parks have the money to fully invest in a lot of these concepts.
What's a coaster you admire technically, but don't personally love riding?
I might get some heat for this one. Taron. I think it's a great ride. I don't think it's as amazing as a lot of people say it is. The ride experience feels a little bit lacking to me. There isn't that big kind of element or that big thrilling moment. But I massively respect what that did for the industry itself, that we wouldn't have Velocicoaster or Gotham City Escape or Tiger without Taron coming first. So massively important coaster. I really do enjoy it. I just don't think it's quite at the top tier where a lot of people put it. Notice you're wearing a Fly t-shirt. So
I actually think that's completely fair. I went during the winter trial event. I butchered that. Lucky enough to ride Taron 7 times in that day. And I rode Fly about 4 times in that day. And there's not a moment where I go, whoa, but where I want to hold on to the restraints. And I'm someone who won't hold restraints because I don't like whoever else has touched them. Fly, there are absolutely moments, especially during that second launch. That's a great feeling. And I kind of consider it almost more as like a midway ground between a white knuckle thrill ride and like a family coaster, as it were.
I kind of agree with you. And I think some of the coasters that have been developed specifically in the family thrill market since do remind me a lot of Taron, particularly Aquila over at Mandoria in Poland. Feels like a mini Taron. That's the Vekoma coaster, but that only has like a 95 centimeter height limit, which is insane for a start. Taron, in a way, is a victim of his reputation. I don't think it's quite an absolute top tier elite one. I think it's just slightly below.
I think it's better. Over the next 5 years, where do you think the biggest innovation will come from?
Family thrill coasters, or certainly family focused coasters, seem to be the way most parks are going now. I could see us maybe getting more attractions akin to the likes of Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that, kind of high concept, very technology dependent rides that are still very much aimed at families. Hoping we don't see too much use or reliance of AI come into ride systems. Kind of think we're going to carry on the path we're going right now, which is a lot more kind of family focused attractions that will hopefully still kind of pump up in thrill, as we've seen with things like Gold Rush. Difficult to predict exactly where it is going, because out of nowhere, someone will drop a crazy ride idea that kind of changes the industry. And when you look at kind of how RMC appeared almost out of nowhere, and then suddenly we've got Outer Banks and stalls on every roller coaster going. So it might be something simple as that. Someone comes along and invents just an absolutely crazy new element that no one's ever thought of, and it just takes over the industry.
We'll have to see. It's certainly going to be an exciting time over the next few years, especially with Universal GB.
Yeah. I think having a brand new Universal park coming will mean there's going to be some kind of technological innovation, but also you've got Disney opening in Abu Dhabi, which will have almost a blank book, I'd imagine. So I think you're going to see some pretty crazy technological advancements going to that park as well. So yeah, I think in the next kind of 5, 6, 7 years, as those parks open, we're going to see some crazy stuff. But whether those are concepts that can be adapted by other parks just due to the cost implications, I'm not sure. I mean, the reason I suppose why we don't have anything else like Guardians of the Galaxy out there is because, I mean, I believe it costs close to $500 million or something to make. Maybe it comes down to whether certain manufacturers can make popular ride type much more affordable for parks as well. It could come down to affordability too.
What's the one queue line anywhere in the world that you'd happily stand for 2 hours with no phone and no complaints, if anywhere?
If anywhere, I mean, 2 hours is a long time to stand up anywhere, to be honest. But I think Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey is close to the perfect queue line. Once you get inside Hogwarts, it's crazy because you've got all the different projections and things happening. You've got storyline going on all around you. The portraits talking to each other, the Sorting Hat doing its thing, Dumbledore's office, the Room of Requirement, all that kind of stuff is, you've got different stories happening at almost every point of the queue. So it keeps you engaged throughout. Quite enjoyed, I'm not sure I could suck up 2 hours of it, but the Ghostbusters queue line and Motion Gate Dubai as well is really cool. But I think if you were stuck in a cattle pen for too long, that would probably get quite tiresome quite quickly, and you would reach for your phone. 2026
is going to be a big year. What's the plan?
Focus this year really is visiting parks that I've either not been to before or that I haven't vlogged before. So I'd like to get back out to Belgium to do the likes of Wallaby Belgium, get back to Bobbejaanland Land, do the likes of Bella Wadi for the first time. Still not been to Wallaby Holland, which seems kind of sacrilegious for someone who's been to as many parks as I have. Fantasiana, I think it's called, and Vina Prata, I'd really like to go to. Finland as well, because Linnanmäki is a really cool park, and I don't feel like I really spent enough time there to fully appreciate it when I went before. So, yeah, I think my main focus is getting to places I've not been before, as well as, of course, we've got new rides like areas like Falgard down at Portman's Park would be great to get to. I will go and ride Invictus, no doubt. But
I look forward to seeing it all. Hopefully you'll be posting most of it, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. Unless I do something like have my SD card corrupt like I did after Mandoria last year. So that was a shame because hardly anyone's vlogged that part. I lost all my footage.
Terrible. Well, Paul, thanks so much for hopping on, and have a great day. Thank you.
No worries, man. Take care. Great to be on.
And that's it.